and welcome to Chesapeake Public Schools Family Empowerment Webinar presented by the Office of Family and Community Engagement, or FACE. I am Laura Lerf, one of the FACE specialists. Our office, which is under the Department of Engagement, seeks to create meaningful partnerships in order to inspire, engage, and empower families, educators, and community agencies to support the initiatives of Chesapeake Public Schools. We are typically available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and can be reached by our main phone line at 757-482-5923 or by emailing FACE, F-A-C-E, at cpschools.com. We're excited to offer our families a course catalog entitled Peak Parent University that outlines all of our events for the school year. You can also catch up on pre-recorded webinars, access a wealth of educational resources, and make community connections to promote your family's well-being. Please visit www.cpschools.com and search Peak Parent University. We thank you for joining us tonight for the Kindergarten Here We Come webinar to give you information about the class of 2037. We are excited to have joining us tonight panelists from various departments within Chesapeake Public Schools and the City of Chesapeake. Before we begin, I want to let you know this webinar is being recorded to share on our Chesapeake Public Schools YouTube channel. Participants' cameras and the chat feature are disabled, so if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please use the Q&A feature located at the bottom of the screen. We will answer all questions at the conclusion of tonight's presentation. And now I'd like to introduce our panelists. First, we have Lisa Carey, one of my partners in the Office of Family and Community Engagement with Chesapeake Public Schools. Next, we have Lauren Perez, who is the coordinator of Chesapeake Preschool Initiative in Chesapeake Public Schools. And finally, we have Emily Edmonds, who is the Chesapeake Thrives coordinator for the City of Chesapeake's Department of Human Services. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Tonight's agenda will discuss enrollment information and procedures, tips to ensure your child is ready to be successful in kindergarten, the top 10 things you should discuss with your child about kindergarten, and various childcare resources. We will make sure to answer any questions at the conclusion of tonight's presentation. At this time, I would like to turn the program over to Lisa Carey.
Thank you, Laura, and good evening, parents. Tonight, I want to share with you information regarding enrollment. Each school is hosting their own Kindergarten Here We Come night. We will provide this information to you via email once we have uploaded this video to YouTube. Basic information is required for all of our enrollees, such as proof of residency, which could be a lease, water and power bill or power bill, with the enrolling parent's information, custody and foster care information, as well as IEP information can be uploaded during enrollment. If your child participated in Chesapeake Preschool Initiative or the CPI program, parents will need to update both their child's physicals and immunization records. They will not need to register for a new account. If you log in to cpschools.com/enroll, you will find all the required paperwork you will need in addition to the online registration link and frequently asked questions. Additionally, please keep in mind that Virginia is not a school choice state. Therefore, your child must attend the zoned school. Information regarding zoned schools can also be found within this link. We are encouraging all future kindergarten families to schedule doctor's appointments now for physicals and immunizations, as there is usually limited availability as we get closer to the start of the next school year. Physicals must be within the calendar year. Listed on the screen are immunizations that are required for 5-year-olds entering school. Newly added to the physicals is the TB risk assessment. This assessment is a quick questionnaire to assess and document a patient's symptoms and/or risk factors for TB infection. School physicals can also be found on the Chesapeake Public Schools enrollment page. Additionally, if your child has asthma or will be required to take medication during the school day, Please make sure you download the necessary forms, which must be completed by a physician in order to allow the school nurse to administer medication during the school day. The online registration portal will open on April the 8th. That is right after spring break. This link is also referred to as the Parent View account. If you already have a student attending a Chesapeake Public School, you will simply log into that account, select the OLR link, and register your new student. Please remember that pre-K students, such as those that attended CPI, early childhood special education, and or reverse mainstream should not register for a new account. However, they should update their physicals and immunization records using their already established Parent View account. If you get confused, don't worry. Parent View will require parents to answer a few brief questions prior to creating a new account. If you have already established an account, the system will notify you and guide you towards the next steps. If your child receives special education services during the 2023-2024 school year, you will not need to register again. Please note that these services include early childhood special education, classroom, reverse mainstream, CPI, and or speech therapy. If you have any questions regarding your child's IEP services, please feel free to contact Christine Starkey at 757-494-7600. That information is listed here on the screen if you want to take a snapshot. At this time, I would like to turn the program over to Lauren Perez, coordinator of the Chesapeake Preschool Initiative, who will talk about kindergarten readiness. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you, Ms. Carey. I appreciate that introduction. And as she mentioned, I am the coordinator of the Chesapeake Preschool Initiative, and I am thrilled to be here tonight. And hopefully I'll be able to bring you some beneficial information to your family. So on behalf of Chesapeake Public Schools, please know how thankful that I am that you have joined us tonight. And please know that I understand, regardless of whether you have other children in Chesapeake Public Schools, or if you're new to the division, that this is a monumental milestone for your upcoming kindergartner. And we look forward to partnering with you. So please know how honored we are to be a part of your child's educational journey. So tonight I'm going to be presenting the definition of kindergarten readiness and how your role as a parent aligns within kindergarten readiness. And then I'm going to be featuring some quick examples of some of the kindergarten readiness concepts, along with some takeaway activities that you can do at home to help prepare your child for kindergarten. So let's take a look at what kindergarten readiness is. So Virginia's definition of school readiness focuses not only on whether a child has acquired basic skills, but also on the capabilities or the capacities, of families, schools, and communities that best support the children's acquisition of these skills. So it is important to reiterate that each component, the children, families, the schools, and community, all play an essential role in the development of your child's school readiness. Not one component can stand on its own. So with that notion, let's dive a little bit deeper into this various areas to see some examples of what that exactly means. So while the development of an upcoming kindergartner ranges, a kindergarten-ready child is prepared socially, personally, physically, and intellectually within children's developmental domains. Highlighting some of the areas include being able to communicate effectively, display emerging literacy and math skills, and being able to exhibit personal skills and regulation along with social skills with others. As a parent or guardian, you are your child's first teacher and the most important person in your child's life. Therefore, you have actually already begun teaching and modeling these everyday skills within various intensities of your home, which brings us to the family's portion. Not only are you fostering learning for your upcoming kindergartner, but you provide the environment for your child to learn, grow, and develop. Promoting supportive relationships and fostering excitement about learning, along with being engaged, interested, and investing in your child's growth and development, physically, cognitively, and emotionally contributes to your child being ready for kindergarten. Please know that raising your developing child is not a task that has to be completed alone. And this is where the community and the schools portion come into the picture. A ready community plays a crucial part in supporting your family with your child's readiness. The community is the support through the family health services that you use for your child, as well as through the various organizations and providers that you might also utilize. So the community provides public assets and opportunities for early care and education for our youngest learners. And that last section is the schools, which embeds where we are tonight. A ready school system provides transitions between the home and the school. It supports the staff to ensure that high quality education is there for your child and provides resources as a partner for your family. So as you continue through your child's educational journey, please remember that the child, the family, the community, and the schools are all working together to help your child succeed. So now that we have gone over the overarching understanding of those 4 components that comprise kindergarten readiness, let's dive into a little bit more detail about the children's kindergarten readiness portion and the things that you can do at home to help increase that readiness. So we are going to discuss various categories that families can address at home. I'm going to briefly discuss each of these sections and also share some fun activities that you can do at home to help your child develop in those areas. I do want to take a moment to explain that there are a lot of categories, and I do recognize that there are a little over 160 days until your child's first day of kindergarten. So if you are looking for somewhere to start, I encourage you to focus on that left-hand side of the chart, as while all areas are significant and important, the left side has some of the most important foundational skills needed. In fact, those executive functioning skills, which are listed on the left, are a key predictive indicator for successful future learning in all of the rest of the domains. So that is another reason why I'm stressing that side of the skills with great importance. Please also know that there might be some things that I'm going to cover that you are already aware of and maybe perhaps already doing. So I hope you find some validation and possible success within my comments, as well as a possible few new ideas. So getting started with social skills. So social skills are feelings and behaviors that are displayed to others. I kind of think of it as being outside of your child. These skills are needed when interacting with others, whether it be with adults or their peers or friends. In this category, we want to aim for recognizing and identifying others' feelings and emotions and being able to take turns in sharing. This area is very crucial for kindergarten and is often a longer practice. It takes longer practice to develop. So please work alongside your child's teacher as this piece connects to creating relationships with others. So to practice developing those social skills, you can discuss your day, highlight things your children might see when watching their cartoons or perhaps movies on TV. You can model discussing your feelings, which is another great way to cover that identifying and understanding emotions piece. Taking turns and sharing can be done through play. Take time and enjoy your child. Build taking turns and sharing with playing. And you can play games. You can do activities outside, perhaps play a sport together, or even accompany your child when he or she plays with pretend play. Spending a little time each day with intentional focus on sharing and taking turns goes a long way for developing social skills. Moving on to self-regulation. I like to think of it as self-regulation is what is occurring within your child. These skills include being able to have self-control, maintaining persistence during tasks or difficult tasks, developing focus, as well as paying attention and following directions. As you can imagine, these skills also take time and practice to develop and often require modeling by the adult displaying their own self-regulation in order for the child to develop these skills. So developing self-regulation can be done through taking on a task and having your child sustain it. So encourage them to finish something that they have started. Have your child be exposed to downtime, where there are no electronics and they are able to quietly and independently work on a project or task. Coloring or Play-Doh are often good suggestions for this. And if your child has a harder time maintaining focus or persistence, start with a small amount of time, such as 5 minutes, and then build up and keep practicing to be able to build up that time over time. And having your child think ahead and control their impulses is a great way to develop self regulation. And so you can do this through games such as Red Light, Green Light, or Simon Says. You can even play preschool or kindergarten type music that have directions within the lyrics. And then you can help them follow along to those directions within the song. So, another important area for kindergarten readiness is having your child develop independence and self help. So, being able to use the bathroom independently and getting dressed, whether it be putting a jacket on, tying a shoe, or buttoning their pants after using the restroom, are all important facets of having your child find success in kindergarten. So you can develop this by having your child increase their practice with buttons, snaps, and zippers. If your child is working towards full bathroom independence, continue to set those goals and maintain those expectations as you work towards that final outcome. If your child is still working towards utilizing the bathroom independently by the beginning of the year, I do kindly request that you partner with your child's teacher and inform them before the first day of school of your child's current status. And your child's teacher can work with you and provide resources or perhaps next steps if needed. And as I'm sure you understand, having developed language skills is also an area that increases kindergarten readiness. So, did you know that according to the researcher McLaughlin, by the time children enter kindergarten, they are generally able to say a few thousand words, but understand thousands more? But when speaking, reflect upon your child and whether they're speaking full sentences. Are they able to express their ideas or needs verbally? And whether or not your child can generate questions and perhaps even answer them. Regardless of the developmental stage that your child is in, you can continue to develop this skill. The best way to develop language is through talking and modeling. Be intentional about having conversations with your child, and try to use different vocabulary. It's okay to repeat yourself. It's okay to repeat what they are saying as well. Feel free to explain your thoughts in your words as you have these important conversations. I know in the busy world that we have, it's sometimes hard to stop to talk, but please remember that you can have these great conversations while you're on the go, or perhaps while you're completing other tasks that you need to get done, such as house items. In fact, according to Paulson and Motes, the number of words young children hear and the type of language interactions in their environment are significantly correlated to their academic achievement in the future intermediate grades. So before spiraling to the right side, I wanted to pause and just reiterate that left area that I covered because it does provide that gateway into kindergarten success. Regardless of where your child is on the spectrum of learning in those areas, it can always be enhanced or developed at your child's pace. We're going to now move into the right side where we have some more academic-based foundational skills. So fine motor skills are an area that is often needing development initially in kindergarten due to the increased amount of cutting, writing, and drawing. When working with the muscles in the hand, it requires practice and effort to build those muscles, just like any other muscles in your body. So let's review some quick ways to practice developing those muscles. To develop those muscles, basically any activity that requires the small movement of the hand will help. Some ideas include snipping paper into small pieces. If you do that, I recommend doing that activity over top of a trash can. You can also move or have your child move small items with a tweezer, or perhaps the pinching technique of using your child's forefinger as well as the thumb or the pointer finger. And they can grab cereal, beads, or any small objects that you have at home and move them from one spot to another. If you have lacing string or perhaps even yarn, you can string serial circles on them, or you can practice any motion that requires the hand to open and close, such as squeezing a softball. And if you are practicing the fine motor skills of handwriting strokes, scribbles, or drawings, have your child take time to explain what he or she drew. Not only is that going to help with developing the fine motor because they're practicing that drawing skill, it's also going to help with the literacy connection as well. So that's going to take us in to the early literacy skills section. So let's take a peek at that. So some of the concepts covered under early literacy skills include listening to stories and being exposed to basic print concepts such as seeing words on the page and learning word directionality, as well as increasing the vocabulary words that they hear. Beginning to understand the alphabet and their name are also important first steps. The best advice that I can give you is read, read, read. Reading does wonders on development and learning for your child. So when you're reading to your child, take a moment to ask questions about the story, but also remember, have fun. Modeling reading and the enjoyment of reading is one of the best gifts that you can give your child. With that being said, if your early literacy reader shows an interest in books and wants to read to you, even if they're not officially reading, let the magic happen. See if his story follows the pictures and show your upcoming kindergartner what a good listener looks like. But did you know that your child might already be recognizing the earlier stages of reading? Environmental print is reading by recognizing the print that's around them in the real world. Practice reading the environmental print that you see, whether it's in the car, on a walk, or TV, and around the community. And as you continue to develop those pre-literacy skills, I know parents often want to address the alphabet. You can start by practicing to sing the alphabet. And if you can sing it while pairing it to the visual letters, that increases the knowledge. For letters, of course, you can start with letter name identification, or if your child needs a little bit more challenge, match capital and lowercase letters. But please know, having the entire full alphabet known when entering kindergarten is not a developmentally appropriate expectation. And a good benchmark, if you're looking for a certain number, is about 15 to 18 uppercase letters and 10 to 15 lowercase letters. But again, if your child is just now beginning to learn letters, it is okay. And the focus at that point should be concentrated on the letters in his or her name. When focusing on those letters in your child's name, in addition to letter ID, you can have your child sort letters that are in their name or perhaps not in their name. Moving on to another activity with the name, you can have fun with your child's name by writing the name on a piece of paper, cutting each letter out, and have your child practice sequencing or putting the name in order. You're also welcome to have your child start writing his or her name, work on one letter at a time. If they're not ready for letter writing, start with simple strokes, working up until letter formation. And if your child is ready to have a challenge and has mastered the first name, of course, you're welcome to move on to that child's last name. Bridging us into our final section of early math concepts, it is important to note that math can be another large category, but we're only going to focus on a small portion of the number sense section. As I mentioned, while number sense is a deep concept for foundational purposes, I want to focus on counting, number ID, and starting to make sets. So while at home, count everything: socks, food, toys, rocks, cars. The list is endless. You are also welcome to count the set of objects. And when counting, do not hesitate to have your child point to each item as they count. It will help them track and teach them a teaching term called one-to-one, where they learn the developmental skill of counting each object in a set once with only one touch per object. Feel free to develop number identification, but do not focus on too many numbers at once, as that can be overwhelming. You know your child best, so take it at your child's own learning pace. If ready, your child can count the set of objects and find the corresponding number to match. So I took you on a journey of kindergarten readiness activities and various skills that you can work on to help develop or continue developing for your child. This is just a recap of what I covered initially, and just a friendly reminder, if you're looking for somewhere to start, I encourage you to start with this section and make intentional strides on these topics. I also want to reiterate the importance of play, as many of these skills can be addressed and practiced through that intentional play with your child. And moving on to the final recap, these are the other skills that I shared that are summarized here for you as well. And as I turn the session back over to Ms. Carey, I wish you all the best during this exciting time in your child's life. And I thank you for allowing me to help you and your child's kindergarten transition.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Okay, families, and so now I'm going to quickly go into our top 10 tips that kindergarten teachers recommend and want you to know before your child enters kindergarten. All right, the first one is be sure your child knows how to tie his or her shoe or has Velcro laces. It's very important. I know as a previous kindergarten teacher, usually teachers work with students on tying their shoes for the first 9 weeks, after which we expect them to kind of be able to do that on their own. Number 9, practice with your child how to zip, snap, and button clothes. This is particularly helpful when students are going to the restroom, when they're going outside, or getting ready to load the buses again in the afternoon. Practice opening and closing the book bag and opening lunch items independently. Again, our students go to the cafeteria. Most of our schools have volunteers that help, but again, there is approximately 4 to 5 other classrooms going on at the same time. So having your child being able to independently open up his or her lunchbox and be able to get the items out of the lunchbox is extremely helpful for both your child and the teacher. Number 7 is to teach your child how to respond when calling their name. This is really important. We want our children to be able to recognize their name when it's called, and as well as identify their name in writing. Be sure your child knows and can recognize their first and last name, not just nicknames. Again, Lauren talked about how you can write your child's name on a paper, have them mix the letters around, and have them formulate them in order. That's one particular great strategy for your future kindergartner. Tip number 5 is to ensure your child knows how to properly use the bathroom, including washing his or her hands. It's extremely important, especially coming off of the pandemic. We also want to make sure that our kids know how to properly wash their hands. Establish routines in your home, like consistently, especially with bedtime and a place for homework. Want to make sure that you're not going to bed at 9 o'clock today and maybe 10 o'clock the next night. Establishing those routines helps your child get into a good pattern and of good habits, especially when waking up in the morning. If you guys do breakfast in the morning, make sure you keep those things kind of consistent so that the child will have a great start to their school day. Number 3, read with your child daily. Again, Lauren talked about this a lot, about reading with your child. A lot of times people ask about asking questions during this time. It's important to ask questions, but it's more important just to establish good reading habits. Maybe that will be before you go to bed at night. Maybe you go out to the park and read underneath a tree. But just establishing a good reading routine is great for future kindergartners and future learners. Number 2 is to write name on loose items of clothing, such as their jackets and sweatshirts. Our kiddos in kindergarten lose a lot of their items, particularly their lunch boxes, their coats, their hats. Having their names on those items will help them easily identify when they go missing. And last but not least, maintain communication with your teacher. That's very key. Make sure that you communicate with your child's teacher. Whether that's good or bad, constant communication will help bridge successful connections between school and family partnerships. At this time, I would like to turn the program over to Emily, coordinator of Chesapeake Thrives, who will share helpful childcare resources for you, whether you're looking for childcare after school or before care, or subsidy money and things of that nature. So at this time, I'd like to welcome Emily to our webinar. Welcome, Emily.
Hello, and thank you, Lisa, and thank you for having me tonight. So I just want to go over some community resources that will be very beneficial for you. So going on the next slide, I'm going to start with giving you some information on how you can find childcare. So if your child is already in childcare or if you've never been before, do not fret. I do recommend starting your search now because before and after care can fill up very quickly. So if we go to the first link here, Childcare VA, that basically is where you can find information and resources related to childcare licensing, subsidy, and any type of like professional development information. So when you click on Childcare VA, this website comes up, and then on the right where it says Find Care, if you click right there, so you scroll over to the right, Lisa, where it says Find Care, if you click there, you can search and you can put in a specific like zip code. So if you want to look for a center that is near your child's school, you can put that in. If you prefer that they go to a family day home or a child day center, those are options you can select all those. You can put in the zip code or you can search within the entire city. Just because some childcare centers, don't specifically cater to children in their neighborhood. They may travel out. So it's important when you're looking for childcare that you talk to the directors to see, do they offer transportation or are they zoned for your child's school? But when you search on this website, you can find out any type of violations that center or program may have had, information if they accept subsidy, their status. And so this is just a good resource for you to go there. And also on the top where it has families, there's links to other resources and information that you can click around just about questions you may want to ask when you're looking for childcare, any type of subsidy questions if you need financial assistance. So if we're going back to the presentation, you may ask, what is subsidy? So subsidy is basically just assistance you can receive to help pay for your childcare. And you can apply for subsidy on the Common Help website. So it's commonhelp.virginia.gov. And that is where you can apply to receive childcare assistance, but it's also where you can go if you were to need any type of like SNAP or TANF, anything like that. It's the same process. You would just click get started and then start the application in that way. I do recommend applying now just because there are ways that you can qualify with a higher income. Some people think you have to have a lower income to qualify for childcare. But if you have a child that is 5 years old that hasn't started school yet, they do have higher income guidelines that would allow you to have childcare for at least a year. So even if you are looking for a job or you're in school, you can still qualify for that type of assistance. Getting back to the presentation. So I gave you 2 sites to kind of help with childcare. So the third one is Childcare Aware. And Childcare Aware of Virginia, they offer like special services for professionals as well as working in the community. So if you're having trouble looking for childcare on your own and you want somebody that offers assistance, Childcare Aware of Virginia, they do have people that will help you to search and give you information. Even if you don't qualify for like subsidy, they do have information on like military childcare providers because there are some who may have military stipends that look for certain centers, so they can help you find those centers that accept that childcare in the area. And last but not least, I just want to go over one of the resources that we have is for our Chesapeake Resource Guide. And so that's not just childcare specific, but it is available right now. We've made it so that you can access it on the City of Chesapeake's website. So if you just search resource guide, or even if you go to cityofchesapeake.net and you search Chesapeake Thrives, you can see the link on the left-hand side for the resource guide. And you can search where it says categories and you can find information on anything. So if you click right there where it says all categories, a list will come up and you can kind of see which programs are available, what resources that we partner with in the City of Chesapeake. So you can search for military information. If you're looking for a food bank, you're looking for childcare, all of those resources all available for you to search through right there. And so last but not least, if we get back to the presentation, I just want to talk to you briefly about Chesapeake Thrives. So I am the Chesapeake Thrives coordinator, and Chesapeake Thrives is basically a partnership where we connect residents with services at any stages of their life. And it's broken down into the 8 priority areas. And those are aging in the community, behavioral health, early childhood, health, housing, poverty, and economic support, school age programs, and workforce development. So, what does all that mean? Basically, those are the 8 priority areas that the city manager wants to focus on for everybody here, and we breaking down to different programs and services that are available. So, what does that mean for you? For you, if you're looking for any type of information or support or services, and you have any type of questions, you want to find out more information, you can contact Chesapeake Thrives at 757-382-CITY, which is 2489. So it's not just if you're in a crisis. If you want to find out information about programs going on in the area, you can contact that number. If you want to find out about financial assistance that you may need, you can contact 382-CITY and they can get you connected to the proper service that are available. So don't feel like that's something that it's not an emergency. I can't contact it. You can contact it at any time because everybody in the city of Chesapeake is a partner. So the schools, the hospitals, behavioral health, the public libraries, they're all a part of Chesapeake Thrive. So if you're trying to find out information, you're not sure where to turn, that is your one-stop shop to know there's no wrong door to approach to get information in the city of Chesapeake. So I know there's a lot of information. If you have any questions, please feel free to send it in the chat, or if you do, just contact 382-CITY and we'll be more than happy to help you. So right now, I would like to turn the program back over to Laura.
All right. Thank you so much, Emily, and our other panelists for all of that great information. We do have some questions, and if you have a question, please feel free to put it in the Q&A. This is the time that we will answer all of those as we wrap up our webinar. So the first question that any of our panelists can answer, will my child be attending a full day kindergarten program?
I can take that one. Yes, all kindergarten classrooms are full day within Chesapeake Public Schools with a teacher and a teacher assistant.
Awesome. Thank you so much. The next question, if my child is already reading, will she be bored in class or are there plans in place for her to continue learning rather than standing still?
That's a great question. So I do want to reiterate that this presentation was presented from a general standard for entering kindergarten. And so within the kindergarten SOLs, there are definitely much deeper skills required. And so just like the other grades, teaching is differentiated because there is a large range of learners within every single classroom. And so, no, your child will not just be standing still. They will be able to assess your child, find out where their current level of performance is and what they're learning, and be able to take your child from there regardless of where they are on that learning continuum.
All right, thank you. The next question, will my kindergartner be able to see his teacher or class, his or her teacher or classroom before the first day of school?
So yes, you will be able to. The schools will host some type of orientation prior to the first day of school. I know Ms. Carey and Ms. Lurf mentioned the kindergarten Here We Come night that is designated for your home zone school. That would be a perfect opportunity to ask them if they already have a date lined up. And they may or they may not, but I do know that they will have something prior to school starting.
All right, and I'm going to kind of ask these two questions together because they kind of relate to each other. Are you able to skip kindergarten and go into first grade? And can you talk to us about when the gifted testing happens?
Sure, absolutely. So skipping kindergarten is definitely a lot deeper and a lot more serious topic than we just need to kind of just address. So what I would recommend doing is, again, going to your kindergarten Here We Come night, hearing a little bit more details about your specific school. And like I mentioned before, kindergarten is full of a lot of meat to it. And while your child might be successful in, let's just hypothetically say, reading or math, they might be working more on that social piece or that self-regulation piece. So I say that to say, take time, talk with the teacher, and if you still have concerns or if you still want to inquire more about those steps, feel free to address it at that time. And then in regards to GATE, GATE is not, or gifted classes, start in 3rd grade. They monitor a child from kindergarten all the way up to 2nd grade in terms of skill sets and performance. And then they'll take an assessment in 2nd grade, which will then lead into potential gifted or GATE opportunities in 3rd grade.
All right, thank you. And there was a question about, it's asking about school readiness. When is school readiness tested, and are there resources for where I can have my child tested earlier? Do you have an answer for that?
So, well, I'm thinking this person is referring to when they used to have the kindergarten assessments for each child to be able to make class selections, is what I'm believing. From my understanding, I'm not sure they're continuing that anymore. I don't want to misspeak though. So again, going back at that kindergarten, here we are, or here we come, excuse me, night, I would definitely inquire on that because I don't want to misspeak. But I do know prior to COVID, that it was up to the building discretion of whether they were doing that or not.
All right, our next question. My kindergartner is not fluent in English. Do you offer English as a second language program?
So we do have ESL programs, and every school has a teacher or a tutor that is assigned. I cannot speak to how much services would be received, if any at all, because that is underneath different types of assessments and some other protocols in place. But your child's teacher, excuse me, would be able to assist you with that. But at the very minimum, there would definitely be resources available to the family and children.
All right, thank you. And can you talk about applying for an out of school zone kindergarten application? If, people are not able to, pick their child up in the morning or in the afternoon. We've got someone who it looks like works for the school system. They're a single parent. They don't have anyone who could pick the child up or make sure that he will get to school.
So I'm assuming they're wanting a different zoned school due to daycare or perhaps a supported family member or family friend that would be assisting with before or after school care. If that's the case, talk to your zone school and they should be able to help direct you into the right spot.
All right, thank you. The next question, do you offer summer school programs? I would like my kindergartner to attend class before starting kindergarten to get familiar, since English is the second language.
Absolutely. Great question. So there is a summer school program called Pre-K Express that is designed for children that are entering kindergarten. So when you register your child through Parent View for kindergarten, when it opens, I believe it was April 8th, forgive me if I got that date wrong, contact your child's school, let them know that you have registered and that you are interested in Pre-K Express.
That's a great resource. Thank you. And the next question, for advanced kindergartners, will the kindergarten teachers have a different curriculum for them?
So they will have differentiated teaching. It's still the same curriculum that they're using, but it would definitely be enhanced and differentiated to where they currently are learning.
All right. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And then, we do have a question. Can you talk about the bus cards for kindergartners?
Yes. So every kindergartner that rides the bus would have to have a bus card. And what that is it's a safety protocol measure that we have in place where a card goes on the student and then an adult would have the matching card. And then when the student goes to get off the bus, they would check the card to make sure that the card of the adult matches the kindergartner's card. And again, that's a safety protocol put in place for your child's safety. And then kindergartners also do the new CPS badges but they don't receive them right away because obviously most of them are new to Chesapeake Public Schools. So be on the lookout. That will be probably sometime in the fall that they would receive the badges that help them receive their lunches and the tagging for getting on and off the buses. So they will receive 2 different types of tags, so to say. They'll have their CPS badge, and then they'll have their kindergarten bus card.
Great.
All right, thank you. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Lauren. For families, I want to share, I'm going to share my screen one more time. I'm going to put the list of schools that are having kindergarten information night. So if you want to take a screenshot of this, this display, and again, I will share this information via email, but here is a list of all of our schools with the principal names and the dates of their kindergarten registration night or their kindergarten information night. Please keep in mind you will still need to either contact the school or look through our family updates for exact times. You can also go to the school website and they should also have that information on their website. So again, here is a list of all the schools that are holding their kindergarten information night. And these are the schools that actually have kindergarten enrollment on site.
And Lisa, while that's up, it looks like we've had a couple more questions come in for you guys.
Okay.
So one person is asking, I have a 16-year-old. Is he able to drop off my kindergartner at school?
Yes. So as long as he has that card, they do allow siblings to get their other sibling off the bus and to drop off. Dropping off is not a problem. It's just when you have to pick the child up off the school bus and things of that nature that the card is really, really required.
All right. And then the other question, will there be a teacher to guide the students off the bus to their class?
Absolutely. So the first week of schools, most of our schools have all hands on deck. Which means that we have teacher assistants, we have visitors from central office that will be in the buildings just to help escort kids from the bus to the classroom, make sure that they're registered and things of that nature. Again, each school may do things a little bit differently. So again, it's very important that you participate with your zone school's kindergarten Here We Come night, just so that you can get all the information.
All right. Thank you so much. So we are wrapping up, but if you have any last minute questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. I want to thank our panelists for your wealth of information tonight. Should you have any additional questions about tonight's webinar, or if you need more information or resources, please feel free to reach out to us at face@cpschools.com. That's FACE@cpschools.com. So this will conclude our Kindergarten Here We Come webinar. Again, thank you so much to our panelists for sharing information with us this evening. And remember that this webinar has been recorded and will be uploaded to the Chesapeake Public Schools YouTube page within the next week. So thank you everyone for joining us this evening. And remember that families and communities work better together. Have a good evening, everyone.